All right, so this is going to be a little more formal than the other one.
I got 2 GoPros.
Yeah! So this was going to be a little more formal than the last one, guys. This is the Yamaha FZ-07. I just got off the Bolt. I'm on the FZ-07. Hopefully I can tell you a little bit more about this bike than I could give you for the Bolt. I'm not quite sure how to start this thing.
Neither am I, so here we go.
Oh, here we go. That's a weird start. That's weird. So it's a toggle pull up and pull down. So ABS is on. So this bike has ABS. It has a rudimentary form of traction control. It is a parallel twin. I like that it's got a gear indicator. I'm not a fan of a digital tach. But this bike obviously has a lot more going for it in the display setup than the Bolt does. So this engine, first thing I can say, just sitting here at idle, engine's not buzzy for a parallel twin. It's surprisingly smooth. Like it'd be hard to tell that this bike is even on. The ergos, I'm finding a lot more comfortable. I do have a 30-inch inseam. I'm not exactly the tallest person, so take that for what you will. If you are 5'7" or shorter, the FZ-07 is a little bit on the tall side, but just about perfect.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay, so the transition for this engine, surprisingly smooth. Wow. I am pleased with this right off. Like, we're not even out of the parking lot, and I'm loving it. I'm loving it. Why are we?
You look good on that thing, dude.
Dude, this thing, okay, so I took off from the spot, and it was like, I had no throttle response whatsoever. Like, I barely had to let out of the clutch, and it's just like, bye. Okay, so out of the parking lot. So this little parallel, oh dang, man, this thing's responsive.
Yeah, it's great. Look at one of you.
Do it.
Oh, man. Oh, I already like this better than the FZ-10. I'm sorry.
I like the ergos. Again, I'm a shorter person. I have a bigger torso. I have a 30-inch inseam. But the position isn't uncomfortable. This bike is surprisingly forward. I'm going to say, like, the seating position is a little bit more sporty. It definitely begs you to be a little more nimble with it than, say, my FZ-6. But, ooh, this engine's so punchy! Oh! Oh, I love it! Oh, this little parallel twin is awesome! Woo! Oh, my goodness! First things first, I do have a complaint about the controls. The buttons are way too friggin' small to be working in gloves. Yeah. I'm gonna turn you back up.
I actually, that's interesting.
Yeah, like, well, cause like your gear, so your it's a lot more high tech than the Bolt was, cause I can actually tell which blinker's on. But like your like high beam, low beam, your horn button's really small, kind of hard to find, but it's really close to your turn signals. Yeah, and then your kill switch is in the is like where your thumb start should be,
Right.
and your start is actually where your kill switch should be, and that's really kind of weird. But I can say right off the bat, I am loving the suspension. Yeah. This thing feels nimble.
Nice.
It feels like the engine's super punchy. I go to 4th gear and then I lean into it and she's just ready to go. Like, no problems whatsoever. I can tell you right off the bat that this bike inspires confidence in its riding position. Yeah. It's got you a little more aggressive forward, but you're still straight up and down enough that you're comfortable. I could see long distance rides becoming uncomfortable though, because your seat isn't exactly the thickest, and I don't know, the ergos just don't seem like they would support a longer distance ride, like eight or more hours. You know, at least I wouldn't spend more time on this bike than 8 hours. I'm gonna touch on the brakes real quick.
Yeah. Don't touch too hard because it's no good.
Yeah, they're really bitey. I mean, granted, this bike feels like you could kind of just whip it around wherever you want, but like the bike itself, like the braking system, I don't know, it's not startling grabby, but it's enough that you know you could stop at a really short distance.
Yeah. Oh yeah!
Here we go.
The highway! Get on it!
Whoa! So this thing wanted to. Woo! So I tried to accelerate up the on-ramp in first gear, and I brought the front tire up. Totally unintentional, and I hope they don't yell at me. Yeah, I totally like baby wheelied. I let out of it as soon as I felt it. This thing, no problems on the highway whatsoever, which I totally expected out of an engine. What is a 700 something cc engine, or 690 something. Yeah, I'm getting a little bit more buffeting here for sure. Yeah, but it's this thing, like, I'm barely putting any like with the. It was noticeable in the Bolt to be able to keep up with traffic. Like you had to turn the throttle a decent amount, and you get some chug. It was torquey enough that it didn't bother me all that much. But it's a significant difference on this parallel twin. Significant. Very little input, and I'm just cruising along in 6th gear. I can see distance riding on this thing becoming uncomfortable after a while.
I can see that with this one too. Less so than the FZ-10. Distance riding is definitely not a thing on the FZ-10, but I could do it. It would be uncomfortable, but I could do it. This thing can wheelie. I'm telling you 100%, this thing can wheelie.
Oh, I don't doubt it.
I want to so bad.
Oh, dude, if I could rip the throttle on this and get away with it, I totally would. But they yell at me.
I just really, okay, we're going, we're leaving.
Oh, well, whatever. We just left the rear demo rider behind.
Oh no!
I zoomed right through a red light. I was like, I ain't stopping.
It's a Grom, but like capable, you know.
Yeah, it's like a Grom's older brother and made by Yamaha.
It's like a Grom grew up. I really.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like the Grom went to Yamaha and grew up.
Yeah. You are a jerk, and that's all.
You can put your foot down. I've got it again with the 30-inch inseam and the height. You can actually flat-foot it on one side at a dead stop, and the bike's light enough that you don't feel like you're gonna tip left or right. I'm pretty happy with it. The ergos, you lean pretty far forward, which can get a little uncomfortable. I mean, it is a parallel twin, but I am not going to complain about the amount of vibrations compared to, say, the Bolt or like a KTM 690 Duke. I mean, parallel twin, it's still really surprisingly smooth, and the engine's punchy enough that you can get moving really, really easily, and it's not going to complain whatsoever. Again, guys, I really can't say enough about this bike. It's so good quality. I mean, the controls, that's my biggest gripe has got to be the controls. The controls are just so small and so close together. I mean, you're going to hit the horn or you're trying to hit the blinker, and that's a little aggravating for me. But as a round-town commuter, something you might take into the twisties every weekend, it's enough that I could overlook it. So here on a scale of 1 to 10, I'd give it a solid 8.5. It was a great bike. Yamaha, you did good. A little. So, recap, FZ-07, 2 thumbs up for me. Good ergos, a little bit of vibration, kind of clunky controls, but I get over it. ABS, parallel twin that doesn't really have a lot of vibration and enough punchy to keep itself up on the highway. I'm gonna give it 8.5 out of 10. But go to your local Yamaha dealer, prove me wrong, hit on the road. Till next time, guys, peace.